Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get our 1 o'clock workshop underway. We're running a little bit behind. So if everyone would like to grab a seat, this is the Trades and Transferable Skills in Mining workshop. So our speakers for this workshop will be John Hatton, who is the Director of Training and Development at Confederation College. And we also have Deborah McCloskey and Craig McIntosh from the Ministry of Training, Colleges and Universities speaking about apprenticeship. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome John Hatton.
Good afternoon, and we'll slowly trickle in. Just relax. If you want to grab an extra dessert, you go right ahead. As introduced from Confederation College, and what I'm going to do is kind of two parts to the presentation. One is what we're trying to do with trades and transferable type skills in relation to the mining industry. And I'll show you kind of our model, but then I'm just going to give you examples of what we do. And I think that's going to complement a lot of the things that we're talking about this morning, and it's really nice to see the companies involved and some of the partnerships we have, etc. So I'm just going to go through it. If anyone wants to stop me halfway through to ask a question, you're more than welcome to. Try to make this informal. Again, if you want to grab a coffee in the midst, go right ahead. So, as I said, it's all about trades and transferable skills in mining. Get this little guy working again. Do it by hand. If you see what we're doing, you know, as an organization, the college does two major things. One's our post-secondary programs, the typical semester-based programs. But what our department does is customized training and educational solutions for business and industry, basically. So that's what we do. And again, we try to be reactive, work quickly with whether it be communities, companies, etc., to do that kind of stuff. So the other thing is we look at workforce development as community development. And these are some of the elements that we look at, that it's part of the economic development plan. We look at environmentally responsible approaches. We don't want to support things that go against some of our values around working with on traditional lands or against environmental principles. We work with communities, and we always look at this as a partner. We can't come in and give things that we think people want. We have to talk to the communities and have to talk to the companies. So that's really paramount in anything we do. And the other thing we look at is education is not dead-ended. Education isn't taking one course, going into the workforce and working for 20 years. It's a continuous learning model where you have to look at where does anything lead to. So we try to ladder our programs. If you're starting in something like a basic line cutting or drilling, where can that go? Where can you evolve to get to work in the field in a more developed area? The other thing we look at, and I'll just go through this quickly, is the idea of a model. We are a job-centered model. In other words, we do not want to do training unless there are jobs involved. It's really silly for people to go through school. Those who have children or spouses that want to get in, you don't want them to pay money, take time to take training, and then not have anything at the end of the road. The first thing you can see on this corner, we cannot do any kind of training unless we know what the employers need. And this was mentioned earlier, and Madge was talking about it in the MIR presentation about partnerships with employers. We talk to employers, and that's very difficult sometimes because they've got their jobs to run. But we try to make sure they know who we are and vice versa so that we can develop programs that meet their training needs. When you get into a job, they'll say, yeah, you guys can do what we want you to do on the job. So that's critical. So we have employer needs, also the assessment process. When Jason talked this morning from our diamond drilling course, one of the things we do with that is before someone gets into a program, we make sure they know what they're getting into. And everyone hears about diamond drilling. And they think, wow, I'm going to make big bucks, I'm going to get out and be successful. Well, as Barb Court said, it's not as easy as that. You know, I think she scared everyone away from diamond drilling with her stuff, but that's the reality of the job. It's a difficult job. The rewards are there. Some people like it, some people don't. So assessment is critical, and I can remember interviewing Jason. He did excellent as far as, you know, he had some great work experience, and he had some excellent motivation. He had a family, he wanted to make some money, he didn't like his present career. So he was a prime candidate. So his assessment turned out very well, his academic credentials were good, he got into the career and did very well. And obviously, everyone's not going to become a full driller in a year and a half. It takes usually 2 to 3 years. But Jason, again, because of the skill sets he had, was a great role model for us. So assessment is important. And then we look at the whole idea of preparation. If people are not fully prepared, then we might look at some foundational skills, such as academics as far as math and English, some safety training, etc. And then, and only then, do we do the training for the skills, whether it be underground mining, etc. So that's our model, and it comes around the circle of make sure we're culturally aware, there's pride and respect, academic excellence, etc. Because an employer doesn't care where you're from. They only care about the job you do. So it's really important to have all those aspects. So that's the model, okay? Principles, partnerships, I mentioned that, needs-based, corporate social responsibility. In other words, we make sure when people make money, they use it appropriately within their communities, etc. Pathways, etc., right person for the right job, and the need for foundations. Foundations simply means to us is that when someone gets into a course, it's not just learning how to handle a drill bit or a heater or a pump. It's understanding that safety is critical. We build those into the programs. So it's not just skills training. That's just looking at all the jobs. You've seen that this morning. I won't dwell on it, but mining is not just handling rocks and drill cores. It's everything from human resources to accounting. This, John Mason in his presentation had this slide as well about if you're going to get into mining, and we tell this, you know, like every parent does, get your grade 12, because there's very few jobs in the mining industry that requires or that you can get into without your grade 12, and if you do, it's probably the lower paying and harder jobs. So as you can see, a big chunk in post-secondary would be college or university or at least grade 12. Now the examples, and so what I've talked about is we have a model, we try to live up to that model, but again, this kind of training is not easy. You constantly have to be modifying your courses, talking to industry, looking at industry needs in the short term, but also the long term. In the MIR presentation, we looked at what's going to happen. There's going to be 4,000 jobs, etc. But a lot of people who come in to see us, they need a job tomorrow, and the companies need workers tomorrow. So we look at short-term and long-term, and the MTCU people are going to be talking about apprenticeships. That's more of a long-term strategy, but it's absolutely essential as well. So this is an idea of us trying to work with other groups. You've heard about the PDAC conference, which is coming up in early May, 30,000 delegate conference. It's huge. We have a booth there, and we share it. So we have a community presence with Lakehead University, Fort William First Nation, Ministry of Northern Development and Mines, and the Chamber of Commerce. And that's just a picture last year at our booth. So it's critical that we have a face there, and we also show that we work with people. Through John Mason and Steve Demings at the CEDC, they help put that together for us. And again, we have to work together. You've heard that 100 times, but you'll hear it again and again. Another program we had, again, with MIR. MIR, we've done this program once for them, the Mining Essentials program, and we're doing it again just starting this week with Barrick Gold in Marathon and another organization called BEAR, which is a environmental training Aboriginal company. So we work with experts. And again, the college is not an expert in mining. But we have to talk to industry, we have to talk to other people who do it, and then we learn. Our expertise is training and education. So that's what we try to leverage. So we work with MIR and BEAR and Barrick. Barrick has also allowed us to do an underground common core mining. You cannot do underground common core without a working mine, and I know Northern College has looked at this as well. It's critical that you have those partners. There's nothing worse than a mine hiring someone who has taken a course and they've never been in a mine, never been underground, never touched a scoop tram or a bolter. So very important stuff. Another program that you mentioned that Jason Indian graduated from, our diamond drilling program. The Confederation College owns a diamond drill. We purchased it off Barb Court from North Star Drilling, again with support from companies like Major Drilling, North Star, Orbit Garant. All those people help us. They give us advice. They come to the graduation and actually interview the people the day of the graduation. The other piece about this model is it's a camp model. We immerse the people in a remote camp for 20 days straight. So we're trying to replicate a real diamond drilling site. If the guys don't like it, wrong business, wrong choice. So that's really important. So part of that too is what we train is a huge part is the safety. Part of that program in the tuition, they get all their personal protective equipment. You'd think the Confederation College colors were high-vis orange, but that's what we do. And that's part of letting people know this is a real work environment. Basic line cutting, you heard about that. That's a course in the initial stages of exploration, where again, we work with Outland Corporation, and we provide a camp-like setting. You can see part of that course is all the participants have chainsaws, all their PPE, and they learn how to line cut. They're only graduates. They've got to get into the field and do it. And again, a lot of these are working in cooperation with either companies like Premier Gold, Gold Canyon Resources, Rainy River Resources, etc., and they usually hire the people based on impact benefit agreements, etc., that are in the communities. So it's great for the communities, great for the companies. They can hire people locally. Another winter line cutting program. Again, we don't stop programs. People line cut in the winter and probably do more of it. Again, we have to get equipment. We deal with companies like KBM, that Ken Boschkoff is representing in purchasing our equipment. So you think about the economic impact of training, it's as much as the mining. There's companies that are doing a lot of business based on what's happening out there. We use the First Nations Ranger program, which is another program dealing with youth. Again, important, we've talked about that. How do you expose people when they're 14, 15 years old to careers in mining? Again, a partnership with Outland and Resolute Forest Products. We couldn't do these programs without that expertise and money and support. Another program, and again, this is a PDAC-sponsored one, again, the Prospectors Development Association of Canada, and you'll notice that program called Mining Matters. These are youth from the Ring of Fire area, and you'll see people across here. You've got Glenn Nolan, who's the Aboriginal Affairs Coordinator with Noront, Paul Semple, who's the President of Noront, Scott Jacobs, and Leanne Hall, who can't make it in person, but she's here in picture. We worked with them. They selected the students from those communities, and they came into Thunder Bay for 2 weeks to look at careers in mining. So a really successful program. Again, a lot of work, and you've got issues with bringing people into our community, welcoming them, and exposing them so they're thinking about mining. They're thinking about being engineers, geologists, etc. And it gives them that positive attitude, you know, that they can do this because they see role models like Glenn and Scott that are actually working in the business and making a good living out of it. Another example of, again, our partnerships, North American Palladium, and that, in case you haven't seen it, that's the North American Palladium open pit site. That's their viewing platform. We took a tour through there, and the program we're doing with them is helping them assess and work with their heavy equipment mechanics for apprenticeships. So we do the testing and assessment with them and work with them about trying to get some of the people out of a neighboring community, Gull Bay, to work in the mine in their Common Core underground program. So again, a great partner, and we're trying to look at other projects with them as well. Whisk Air, again, a very successful local company again. They started out with about 2 helicopters. They have 7. They do our helicopter exit and entry training. So we go to their hangar, they do it as a service to us, and every guy that graduates from our drilling program has their certification for helicopter. And again, what happens with drillers, when they go out on jobs, they have to be taken there by helicopter, so that's one of our modules. So again, really great. Interestingly enough, this helicopter, Candy Apple Red, was owned by J.K. Rowling's of Harry Potter fame, and which Whisk Air bought and flew out from Halifax. So they are growing. Another business which is exponentially growing because of the mining boom. There's our friend Henry Wetelainen from Bending Lake Iron, Riley Burton, who works with us, and Henry's son. We ran a geophysical course at the Bending Lake site. Again, it wouldn't happen without them. We used their classroom in their building in town here and used their camp to house people. So they were looking at prospecting skills. And again, we ran that course specifically. Every one of those graduates were hired with exploration companies in the mining industry. Real success story for us, but again, not easy. And a lot of these skills get people into thinking about, when we get them in the classroom, we talk about apprenticeships and where they can go. The trades training, and I'll let the MTCU people talk more specifically about that, but the college does do this kind of training. And again, it's a longer term, there's employment necessary, etc. So it's a little different, but again, in the pathways philosophy, we get people in those programs. Transferable skills, and this is what we talked about, is that when you teach people things, it's not just for mining. And take a look at the examples we have here. We've got jobs in the manufacturing, whether it be in a sawmill or bombardier, working with hand tools, all these type of things. Those are skills you can use. Power generation, power transmission. The Little Jackfish project is a good example. The expansion of power to the Musselwhite site. mine construction, which we've heard about, road and rail construction. And just out of curiosity, this picture here is the Ring of Fire. And if anyone thinks it's easy to get there, just take a look. Imagine putting a road or a rail line and the number of bridges, the number of tons of aggregate, etc. Not an easy job, and we hear lots of figures, but again, a lot of jobs and about $2.5 billion to build that route to get into there. So we're working with those companies to see who they're going to hire, how they're going to do it. So all these things are there. And of course forestry, which we think is dead, but it's not. There's lots of activity going on in that, and just take a look down the road here at Resolute Forest Products, the sawmill and the pulp mill. So those are what we mean by transferable skills. So when we train people, we try not to dead end it. We try to look at other opportunities. People who want to go further to school, enroll in a full-time program, they can do that. Carpentry. You know, you think, what's that got to do with mining? This is a program we ran out of Sioux Lookout in coordination with an organization called SLAM. All people from fly-in communities working on their certificate of qualification, which is their trade certificate. And it's a really successful program. Again, you've got issues of English not being a first language. You've got experience to pass your CAQ, which is a red seal across the country where they don't get into specific things like concrete, etc. And the MTCU people are very familiar with that. So we worked with this group, challenging, but successful. Another interesting thing that we tried to deal with, and this, we recently were looking at a couple of major simulation companies. The college is involved in simulation in the forestry and aviation industries. There is a couple of companies worldwide that have mining equipment simulators for things like scoop trams, graders, dozers, rock trucks, bolters, drills, etc. Cheaper, safer, and higher, more productive. So we want to try to work with companies like Goldcore, North American Palladium, Barrick, and that gets back to the partnership thing again. So we're looking not only to the basic stuff like line cutting, which is the old chainsaw and axes and walking around the bush, but looking at someone who can learn how to run a rock truck without damaging tires, hurting other people on a simulator. This is a company out of South Africa. There are 3 companies in the world that do this, 2 in South Africa, 1 in Australia. And the one thing that I'm learning as we go through the mining thing, mining is mining, whether it be in South America, Mexico, South America, or Red Lake. So you can learn a lot from other people. We like to partner, again, with simply other colleges. And Bob Mack here from Northern College, we work closely with their drilling program out of Kirkland Lake so that we make sure we're not duplicating, that we're giving the same quality program, and we learn and help each other. So you hear this partnership, and it's not, and I think the term I used earlier was meaningful partnerships. It's not about just putting a logo on your page. It's actually sharing so both parties benefit from it. And again, we want to get into more training. We're learning as we go, and it's pretty exciting. And hearing these figures that we heard this morning really indicate, you know, you hear training, but what is the big issue with training? It's money. You know, how do you get people to the job site? How do you get people doing things? So that's quickly the presentation, looking at what Confederation College does around transferable skills, and I think what we try to do is build on what we've got. The more companies we can work with, the better our programs are going to be. You know, I think, you know, Scott, you're having your open house on the 23rd next week. If any of you are in town, go to it and see what those companies are doing, and it's amazing how they're working in the communities and dealing with some pretty adverse conditions to make things happen. And it is going to happen. It's just when and where, but it doesn't matter right now. I can look around the room at people who are companies that are making money out of this business and providing a better workplace. You look around Thunder Bay, look at the housing development and some of the business and building and the waterfront development. Things are happening here, and I think a lot of it has to do with mining. You talked to Scott McFadden at the airport. Last year was our highest user, I think, Ken. And guess what? If you interviewed most of those people, it's Scott flying back and forth to Bay Street in Toronto to the NORAD headquarters. But it doesn't matter. There's hotels, etc. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us. Confederation College is really happy to be involved, and it gives us a new lease on life as far as some of the training. Any suggestions are welcome, and I think you're going to see some exciting stuff and going forward with this city. So I'll hand over to Deb, and I'll get your presentation set up.
Hi, everybody. So Craig McIntosh with Ministry Training Colleges and Universities. and I'll be with Deborah McCloskey. We'll be co-sharing the presentation. So just like all of you, I guess we get a sense of a lot of excitement, I hope. There should be lots of excitement for mining in the Northwest Ontario for sure. With MTCU, our acronym, Ministry of Training College Universities, we are forefront of training, apprenticeship, other training programs, to provide access to college programs, traditional training programs. Apprenticeship, it's on-the-job training programs specifically. And a lot of the trades are directly and indirectly involved with mining. And we see a lot of opportunity there, and we're really enthusiastic about the opportunity. And we're heavily engaged with northern communities in ensuring that there is access and pre-access programs available, trying to fit the needs of our northern communities, and to kind of close up some of those shortages that we're going to be seeing for skills. There's a great opportunity coming. So we'll just go forward in the presentation. So we'll be discussing really what apprenticeship is, and it is training on the job. So there is a in-school component that's offered, and locally Confederation College offers some of the trade in-school components. Other colleges and training delivery agencies throughout the province also offers the training, and that's part of the apprenticeship. So we'll be discussing about that. We'll be talking about how to become an apprentice. And there's benefits and supports as an apprentice to support your training. Completion is really important to us. It isn't so much, let's register 40,000 people a year as an apprentice. It's how many people can we complete as an apprentice to become a journeyman? Because then they become the mentors and the trainers for the people coming through, because it is on the job. And so when we hear retirements and post-retirements and that huge skills inventory that we're going to lose, those are our teachers and our mentors that we're going to be losing. So timing hopefully is right to get as many apprentices as we can into the system so they can tap into those mentors and trainers. So the Ontario's apprenticeship system. Okay, so there are typically trades, there's split into 4 different sectors. And carpenters and plumbers and traditional journeymen or skilled trades apprentices. But there's also hairstylists, early childhood educators, auto body repairers, brick and stone masons, special events coordinator. These are just a few of the trades that are available. And some of these will be directly involved with mining, opportunities created through mining activity. And some of these will be indirectly because if mining blows up and we have a population increase in Thunder Bay, for example, we're going to need a lot of these other support trades and skill sets. So they are involved in everyday aspect of our world. So you encounter a tradesperson, an apprentice, a journeyman every day in your life. So there's 4 sectors. There's the industrial manufacturing sector, there's the motive power sector, the service sector, and the traditional apprentice, journeyman trade sector is the construction. Mining will typically be industrial manufacturing and construction. So industrial manufacturing, that's where we have the tool and die makers, the general machinists, the mold maker, industrial mechanic, the millwrights, and the welders. Some of the occupations that you've heard about already this morning. Motive power, so that's anything to do with transportation. So the auto service technician, truck and coach, agricultural equipment, heavy-duty equipment technician. Again, some of those jobs and occupations that you've already heard about today discussed. And following up with John's presentation on transferable skills, if somebody here is holding a journeyman level trade as say a truck and coach technician, you have transferable skills to be looked at to be a heavy-duty equipment technician. And you might have more opportunity with mining with that. So just as an example. And we're available to help guide and support and give you all the knowledge and awareness that you need to tap into any of these trades. Service industry. So we've got the cook, the chefs, the bakers, hairstylists. How many of you know that hairstylist, to work in Ontario as a hairstylist, you either have to be an apprentice or a journey person? Anybody aware of that? You can't cut hair unless you're in the trade. Early childhood educator, educational assistant. So these are, more of the indirect opportunities. These are the day-to-day services And there's going to be, as we saw earlier, lots of occupational opportunities here as well. And construction. So electricians, the carpenters, hoisting engineers, plumbers, steam fitters. You know, the typical trades. When you think of a trade, a skills trade, you think of construction workers, electricians, and that such. A lot of these trades as well, you have to be an apprentice or a journeyman to work. So as an electrician, you can't work as an electrician unless you're involved in a trade directly as an apprentice or a journey person. So what is an apprenticeship? So it's a model of learning. 90% of the learning is on the job. It's mentoring, it's working with your hands side by side with someone who's already been trained, already on the job, and they're mentoring you. That has to be available to the apprentice. The other 10% is an in-school component where you get the theory side of it. And a lot of the trades will have 3 trade level components. So beginner, advanced, intermediate, advanced trade school, typically from 8 weeks to 10 weeks in length. And there are other supports for the apprentice while they're in trade school that can help them be successful. Because most often they'll be laid off from employment. While to take trade school may not have the support of the employer, but there's employment insurance and the supports with that as well, like dependent care, living away from home, rent, transportation. So some of the things that are available and might be touched on a little bit later. Our role in apprenticeship is, so apprenticeship is regulated by acts, regulations under the acts. So there's 2 acts, and there's actually a 3rd act that has come into play. So the Trades Qualification Apprenticeship Acts, that's your traditional construction trades fall under that. So such as ratios is one of the things that are governed by the Act. So you might have heard issues with lately about creating more employment opportunities by fixing ratios. A lot of the input into the trades isn't ministry or government-led, it's industry-led or partnered with this. So a lot of the rules and regulations that go into the acts and are followed by the acts have the input from industry. So ratios, industry set. There may be something that can be done with that to create opportunity or not. That's the debate. So compulsory, voluntary, and restricted, unrestricted trades. So again, we have 2 acts, and they're labeled differently. So basically, a compulsory or restricted trade are the same thing, and it's a trade where you have to be an apprentice or a journeyman to participate. So an electrician, for instance, that's a compulsory trade. You have to be an apprentice or a journeyman to be an electrician. And then the other act labels it voluntary or non-restricted. Actually, that was for the same act. And so we've got the new act in play, the College of Trades. And it's something that will override or be the new version of the 2 acts that are in existence. This will be the mother. And as it says in 2012, the act will replace the 2 previous acts. And we're still in the awareness knowledge of it, gathering the information, gathering all the input, and there's still some more to come with that. But really the College of Trades is to bring exposure, bring the attitude towards trades up. Trades are professional occupations, rewarding occupations. I'm a product of what John Mason mentioned earlier of when high school, university was the route. If trades were also promoted as the route to take, as an ideal professional trade or occupation as well, chances are I might have jumped on that and been much further ahead than where I am today. And I know a lot of youth would be probably the same. So that big gap in skills that we're seeing is because we haven't had anything really pushing exposure to trades. It hasn't been the schools, it hasn't been the government. And so the College of Trades hopefully initiates that and develops better relationships with the schools and re-engages our youth, re-engages our population that trades are a great occupation to get involved with. And again, the same level as a doctor, a lawyer, like that's what they're trying to do with that. Labor mobility, so what you learn on the job through apprenticeship in Ontario, your skills can be utilized in other provinces. and I know Deb will touch on that again later. And the Red Seal, you may have heard that. There's some Red Seal trades. Electrician, you obtain your journeyman level in Ontario. You can also utilize that in another province. Or conversely, if you have a trade from another province, come see us and we'll help you be able to utilize those skills here. So becoming an apprentice, and I'll hand it over to Deb.
Thanks, Craig. I'm just going to run through on how you become an apprentice. Okay. Craig, how to use this? This one?
The right side. On the side. Yep.
Whoops. Okay, in order to become an apprentice, you need to be at least 16 years of age, and you need to have your grade 12. In some of the construction trades, you only need your grade 10, but it's basically your grade 12 that you'll need. And you need to provide us with proof of your education, and we need to see either your diploma from high school or your transcripts. And these are the 3 requirements that are necessary. In order to become an apprentice, you need to have an employer to sponsor you through your apprenticeship, and you need to contact the Ministry of Training Colleges and Universities in order to set up a meeting so that we can meet with you and your employer and get you prepared to work in an apprenticeship. So we'll have that meeting. In order to train an apprentice, an employer must have the expertise, they must have the capacity, and they must have the facility to do the training, and they must be able to allow you to go to school to do your in-class training, which is that 10% of your apprenticeship program that Craig mentioned earlier. And usually the local colleges, they would provide that training. In order to recruit an apprentice, an employer may have their eye on somebody who that they may have had working for them, and they will initiate the apprenticeship for that person. They'll review the training standard. There's a standard that is set out by the province that the training that the employer will provide, and also the college provides the training set by the standard. Responsibilities of the apprentice. The apprentice must be able to follow all the lawful instructions of the employer. They must make sure that they're attending all the schooling that the college is providing. And they must maintain the records of their competencies. We usually give each apprentice a training standard, which is a booklet that they need to get signed off by their employer and by their trainer, which they'll work through. Any changes that the apprentice has, they must notify their employer and they must notify us so that we can keep up-to-date records. The employer is responsible for providing all the training. They're responsible for adhering to the acts. And as Craig mentioned, the Ontario College of Trades Act was formerly the Trades Qualification and Apprenticeship Act and the Apprenticeship Certification Act, and now it's going to be under the College of Trades. We must make sure that the employer maintains communication with the ministry and with the apprentice, and make sure that the apprentice is aware of his responsibilities. There are certain costs involved. When an apprentice is registered, they must pay $40 for the registration fee. They're responsible for paying their tuition. The ministry pays about 2/3 the cost of the college tuition, and the apprentice pays about 1/3 of the cost, which generally is around $400 for an 8-week course. And the examination fee is $100, and that's once the apprentice has finished all their hours of on-the-job training plus all their schooling. Once an apprentice has successfully completed their apprenticeship, they will get a certificate of apprenticeship, and once they've written and passed their final exam, they'll get a certificate of qualification. So this diagram will show that the basis of the apprenticeship is the workplace experience, the schooling, the certificate of qualification application, then they write their exam and they get their certificate of qualification, and they're a licensed journey person. The Red Seal program is a program that allows an individual with a journey person certificate to work in any province or territory in the country. And as Craig has said, a person coming from another province to Ontario, they must come to our office, and we would ensure that they're able to use their skills in Ontario. The same thing when someone from Ontario goes to another province, they would see the government officials there to use their skills in that province. There are some benefits to becoming an apprentice. You will have some entrepreneurial opportunities. You'll be certified in your trade. That makes you more marketable. You have many skills that you can build on. As Craig mentioned, if you have one trade certification, you can use it towards getting additional certifications. There are financial incentives. You have diverse job opportunities, and you can earn while you learn, which is a very beneficial thing in our times. It's hard to get training and have the money to pay for training. With apprenticeship, you earn while you learn. Some of the Ontario initiatives are the Loans for Tools program. Many trades require that you buy tools in order to do your trade. There is a loan that you can get as an apprentice, where as you're an apprentice, you don't have to pay any interest on that loan, but as soon as you become a journey person, you're required to pay that loan back, but at the interest rate that is available at the time that you complete your apprenticeship, and you have 1 year to pay that loan back. Classroom training subsidies, I've already talked about that. The ministry would pay about 2/3 of the cost of your tuition. You would pay 1/3 as an apprentice, and there are also supports, as Craig mentioned. There's living away from home, there's travel, and there are the supports for dependent care if that's required. Non-red seal trades, there are also some supports that are available to non-red seal trades. The federal government is encouraging individuals to complete their apprenticeships. As Craig said, we're not just out there to get more registrations. We want people to complete their schooling and complete their apprenticeship. So the federal government has an incentive grant for doing your schooling. After your first level of schooling, you can apply for a $1,000 grant. After your second level of schooling, you can apply for another $1,000 grant. After you've completed all your hours and after you've completed all your schooling, you've written your final exam and you've passed your final exam, you can apply for a $2,000 grant. So that's up to $4,000 of federal money. It's grant, it's free money. Please, if you're an apprentice and you're doing your schooling, you're completing your apprenticeship, make sure you're there to get your grant. It is taxable, so you'll receive a T4A form and you'll have to submit that with your income tax, but it is not taxed at source. There's also a tradesperson's tool deduction, which you would receive through filing your income tax. The benefits for employers to have an apprentice on board, there are some financial incentives. An employer is eligible for an apprenticeship training tax credit. The employer trains their apprentice to the standards set out by the province. That keeps the standards high for the industry. You sustain talent in your business. You have a high-quality worker that is going to be employed with your organization, and it's very profitable to have skilled workers. Most places, they will show you that they have qualified tradespersons by displaying the certificates that the apprentice has gained by going through their apprenticeship. I've talked about the apprenticeship training tax credit that's available to employers. That's up to $10,000 per year to a maximum of $40,000 for the life of an apprenticeship. And there are other employer bonuses. There's an apprenticeship job creation tax credit as well. The steps to becoming an apprentice. There's the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. An individual studying in high school who has a grade 10 and is 16 years of age, they can apply through their co-op program to become an apprentice. There's no cost to the apprentice through becoming an apprentice in this way. There's the co-op diploma program, which is at college level, as well as being an apprentice and working through their apprenticeship. The individual in this co-op diploma program also gains a college diploma. And the pre-apprenticeship training program, an individual coming out of high school may go into a pre-apprenticeship training program and learn some of the skills that are necessary in order to become an apprentice in that trade. So some of the things that they would learn as an apprentice, they would get while they're in this pre-apprenticeship program. And I've talked about the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship and the Co-op Diploma Program and the Pre-Apprenticeship Program. So that basically covers my presentation, and thank you all for listening. Is there any question? This is some contact information, and if anyone is interested in getting this contact information, I have the this printed out.
Okay. If we could just give our presenters a round of applause, and thank you for that wonderful information. John, Deborah, and Craig, I have a little gift for you to thank you for your time today. And I'm sure they'll be around if anyone has questions you want to ask them. And you guys have about 10 more minutes before you get to your next workshop, so take a look at your program and see where you want to go. Thank you.
Work for PDAC Mining Matters, and we are a charitable organization that's responsible for spreading the exciting word of earth science to students, teachers, and the public. My session today is actually replacing Leanne Hall. She called me up, and because she's unable to come today, she'd asked me if I could take over this session. So I thought it would be kind of a change of pace for you guys, since we have been sitting for quite a bit, to do an activity similar to how we would explain the mining cycle and how you may have a place in the sector in the future. Put up your hand if you're working in the mining sector right now. Okay. So I got one person who's currently in the mining sector. We've heard all morning from a variety of speakers, and it's become abundantly clear from MIR that there's a shortage of staff that the mining sector is looking at in the future. So what I want to do is I want to take the next 40 minutes, and I want to make you responsible for running your own company. You're going to become a junior exploration company, and in fact, in keeping with what has been learned earlier today, Canada is in the front edge of this. There are in excess of 1,500 junior exploration companies in Canada. And we're very, very good at this job. And it's considered the beginning of the cycle. If you can't find a deposit, then obviously you can't have a mine. And then all the things that we enjoy from the mining, the chairs you're sitting on, the gypsum that's made in the walls, the stainless steel that we eat with, the ceramics, the glasses, all these things are mined products. And if we don't have those minerals found and discovered and processed, then we don't enjoy our incredible standard of living. So now I'm going to make you a cookie miner. And what I want you to understand that there's 4 phases to the mining cycle. The first phase is exploration. The second phase is called development. The third phase is called extraction or operations. And the fourth phase is called reclamation and closure. You can't move beyond exploration unless you have all the money, all the permits, all the agreements, and the entire plan for closing the mine. So now what I want you to do is you are going to be at a table. You can do this either as a group or individually. I hope everybody has a piece of land. Everybody has this piece of land that I handed out with graph paper? Okay. Now I'm going to hand you out your tally sheet. And as a group, you can be one junior exploration company at your table, or you can be your own exploration company. And I'm going to give you a tally sheet. And if you have multiple people at your table, you can decide one person's going to be the investment person, one person's going to be the financial person, one person's going to be the miner, you got to decide which job you want to do, because you've been listening to all these jobs and all these opportunities, and there are 120 in the mining sector. So in your group now, I want you to decide what is the name of your junior exploration company. Okay, what are the names of the companies out there? Who's got a name for their junior exploration company? What is it? Big Doe? Okay, Big Doe. That sounds like that's a profitable company coming up right there. Big Doe. Who's got another name for the company? What is it? Giant Exploration. Okay, that's a good name for a company. Anybody else? Ladies, you must have a good kicking hot name for your company. What is it? Four Ladies Diamonds. Sounds like you're definitely in diamond exploration. Okay. All right, now, we're in the exploration phase. Junior exploration companies need money. They don't produce anything. They need money, and they have to sell investors that they've got something of value. So each of you are now in your company, you're going to come up with a strategy of how you want to represent your company. Are you going to be thoughtful of associated communities? Are you going to have a strong CSR, corporate social responsibility policy? Are you going to be one of those companies that is just going to drive for the bottom line? Do you want to treat your employees well? You want to come up with a motto, something that was representative of your company. And in exchange, I'm going to come around, I'm going to give you money right now to play with, because junior exploration companies need money. Okay, the money person in your company now has probably opened up their envelopes. They've counted that there's $19 in each one of those envelopes, and they've pulled the money together now. Yes? You didn't get any yet? Okay. Oh, that's not good. Okay, how many properties? Three properties. Big dough, that's right. Okay, so everybody's got their money now, and they've got... How much money do you guys want? So everybody's got an accounting, they've got their name, and now I'm going to give you your, now the money starts coming out, okay? People have given you money because they thought that you are a great company, you're well managed, you have good financial backing, and you've got knowledgeable geologists and geoscientists behind you, and now I'm going to give you your actual property. I'm going to give you a cookie. And in this cookie, just as there is in the geology around us, there's minerals held within the rock. And we're going to do polymetallic cookie mining, which means there's different minerals in that rock. So I'm going to come around, and when I give you your cookie, one of your people in your company has got to be the environmental person. And they got to map what your footprint of your mine is. So I want you to take your pen, and I'll bring a pencil if you don't have it, and I want you to trace your cookie onto the land that you have already bought. But this is going to cost some money. It's going to cost $5 from your investments that people have given you. Now the money starts flowing out. You're not a producer, but this is what it costs to be a miner. So I'm going to take $5 from everybody as I give you a cookie for each of the properties that I've given to you, okay? All right, so here we go. one tally sheet. Everybody mapping? Green is covered. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, once you map, I want you to count the number of squares and half squares to make one full one. It should be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 50 to 70. Everybody count that and record it. Okay, team, we've got our accountant. They have the tally sheet. Your geologists have gone out. They found a very rich piece of land with a lot of mineralization in it. It's got multiple types of minerals in it. Your environmental scientist has gone out and is now mapping it and recording that number on your tally sheet. Those things should have been done. You've been given investment money because people believe you're going to turn a profit. And you had to purchase that land, and so you've started to draw on that bank account. And I hope that your accountant is keeping track of this, because you can't show a profit and you can't get more money from investors unless you are showing that you are responsible with the money and making sound decisions. Okay, everybody's got it mapped and recorded how big your footprint was. Now, the first thing you got to do now, if we go back to what we talked about in the mining cycle, exploration has 3 phases: early, middle, and advanced. And I want to reiterate that you guys in your companies have got to come to some kind of agreement about what kind of social citizens you are. Are you responsible? Do you consult? Do you work with the communities around you? Do you make sure you do everything by the letter of the law? Because if you don't, you're going to get fined. And if I catch anybody going outside the rules, you'll be fined. I'm going to tell you that right now. So anybody caught starting to mine their cookie before the government has actually given them the proper go-ahead, because you don't have all your approvals yet. You don't have your environmental assessments done. You don't have all that stuff done yet. So no one can touch that cookie until such time as you are given the go-ahead. So we're in exploration. You get into advanced exploration, which means you have all those approvals. And then the next thing that you move into is development. Oh, development is expensive. My goodness, those investors that believe in you, now the money's going to start to come. And you as a company have to decide how you want to run your company. Do you want to run it like top-notch, buy the best equipment, because there's a risk to that, or you want to buy used equipment and maybe it breaks and then you have high maintenance costs? So I'm going to get you now to decide as a company how you want to invest in the operational costs. Operational costs, I'm going to give you either a $2 toothpick to mine your property, which could break, and if it breaks, you've got to replace it with another 2, or maybe a better. You could have a $4 toothpick. It's stronger, it's cylindrical, pretty good piece of equipment. It's only $4. Or you could have the off-the-line, brand new mining equipment for $6, a paperclip. And all I say to my students when I give them the paperclip is, yes, it comes with a warranty, but this piece of equipment is so good that if it breaks, I'm going to question the warranty, okay, because that's really aggressive. You're really aggressively working that equipment. Okay, so as a company now, You have to decide how much money you want to pay me now, because I'm going to come along with the equipment, and maybe you want to have, as a company, maybe you want to have one of one type, one of another, but here's the rule. The person who takes that piece of equipment cannot switch up if you have multiple properties, that property, because it costs money to, of course, to transfer the expensive piece of equipment. You can't just hand it over to your other property. That property works on that piece of equipment works on that property, okay? So I'm coming around with the 3 pieces of equipment. Actually, I've got some helpers here, and they're going to come around. And you as a company now has to decide if you want to buy the top of the line, brand new equipment, which is a $6 paperclip, or the $2, inexpensive, been used, maybe sitting around the back lot, rusty, not keeping up the maintenance schedule, but it's only $2, or the middle of the line, $4. Okay. All right, here we go.
So we're collecting the money from them?
Okay, so you're collecting the money from this is the round. So who wants the round paper clip? Who wants the round one? Who wants the flat one? Who wants the money? Okay, here's switch. They're all. Yeah, you gotta buy. And those are the two. No, these are the flat ones. Those are the round ones. The $2. I need some paper clips. Bill, you got paper clips? Oh, there's Okay, all right, miners. You've got your equipment. You paid $5 for your land. And now we're going to say you've got all your approvals. You're doing a good job out there. You're moving through the process. It takes a long time. You saw the numbers that John Mason put up. It takes a long time to get a mine into operations. And you want to have a really good operation because that's going to ultimately mean the money that will come back to you. But in order to do that, you have to pay taxes. Oh, the taxes, I know. We got to pay those taxes, though. So here's the thing. If I let you mine for 3 minutes, I'm going to charge you $1 for every minute that you mine. Okay, so my team is coming around again, and I'm going to give you 3 minutes to mine. So you're going to give them $3 each for each property. Remember, it's $3 for each property that you're mining. Okay, so they're coming around to collect that, and as soon as that's all done, we are going to start the mining process. And as they're doing this, I want you to listen to what the rules are here. You can't start mining until I say go, and you must stop mining when I say stop. Otherwise, you will be fined severely by the Ministry of Environment, and your name will be mad amongst the mining sector. Because when people make mistakes in this arena, it's very serious. It's frowned upon very much. So you got to play by the rules. You can only touch your cookie with the one free hand. And you mine with your piece of equipment in your other hand. You cannot flip your cookie over. It must remain on its land. And it must stay on that land throughout the entire time. So everybody's cookie should be on their mapped out footprint that you have had your environmental scientists so carefully do. No one's touching that cookie. If I see anybody touching a cookie, there'll be a fine. Ministry of Environment looks very, very poorly on that sort of thing. Okay. Have we got all of the taxes? Are we paying all the taxes have been paid? Okay. So has everybody thought this out now? They've got their corporate social responsibility. I want to remind you again that, as I said at the beginning, all approvals, all money, all permits were gotten at the end of the exploration phase. Your plan as a company, which I asked you to decide how you felt about being a corporately, socially responsible, was set out when you formed as a junior exploration. You are now going to be a miner. And that means that your rehabilitation plan had to have been set out and figured out before that. So now I'm going to give you your 2 minutes. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. You have exactly 3 minutes to mine the minerals from your cookie. Your gold nugget I'm going to pay you $6 for. Your copper, which is the green, I'm going to give you $3 for. The cobalt blue, I'm going to give you $2 for. Chromite brown, I'm going to give you $2. And the red iron ore, I'm going to give you $1. Okay, when you're mining, I want you to make sure that you're putting those minerals off to the side, because your banker is going to have to count them and decide how much money you are going to get.
Are we your bankers?
You're going to be the bankers.
So we need that.
So you have had already 1 minute of mining. I hope you're getting all those minerals. I hope you're getting lots of gold out of there. Gold is 17 plus an ounce right now. It's,
The values down?
yeah. Okay. Gold is $6. Yellow. Yellow is $6. Blue. I said 3. Red, I said 1. Iron ore. Yeah. And so we've got green is copper, and I said 2. And I said brown, which is chromite. We're going to give you 2. That's it.
Any other colors?
Nope, that's it. Gold is 6. Gold nuggets are 6. Now, if you've got a banker who's not working right now, or your accountant is not working, you should be counting and adding this stuff up. You've got to know how much your production is, and you want to be claiming money. Set it aside. But you got to get at those minerals that are deep in that cookie. Now, if you think about this in real life, the processing of these minerals is expensive. So normally you'd go as concentrate, and we're paying you a very good price for your commodities. There's been no recession. People are feeling confident. China and India are buying up these commodities like no tomorrow. But if they, all of a sudden, you've got exactly 30 seconds left to mine. I hope it's going well. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put your mining equipment down, miners, and push yourself away from the table. Push yourself away from your table. Don't touch anything or you'll be fined. Okay. Now, what I'd like you to do is I want you to see how other companies mine their product. So everybody just kind of have a look around. Who's got a real mess on their hands in front of them? Put up your hand, get a mess on your hands. Oh, okay, we got several people who made a mess, okay. Who is got almost like, it looks like a cookie, almost in its pristine form. Okay, and everybody's somewhere in between. All right, now what I want you to do, environmental scientists, I want you to trace all the way around where the new cookie lays on that land, on that grid. Take your pen, and trace the outside where that new footprint is. New footprint. Okay, everybody got that? Shouldn't take you long to do that. Now there's water glasses on your, in the center of your, everybody's got that mapped out? Anybody not got that mapped out yet? Okay. There's empty water glasses. I want you to turn them over. And I want you to dump your cookie into that empty water glass. I want you to dump the cookie into the empty water glass. Yep. Everybody does that into that empty water glass. And now I want you to count the squares from your original footprint to the new footprint, okay? Make that very clear. I want you to count those squares, because you know what? How many squares were there? Well, okay, you've got your minerals off to the side. We haven't taken your minerals away from you. Now, who's your money person in your company? Because what I want them to do now is I want them to figure out how much your company has made. How many gold pieces did you get out, and multiply it times 6, and that's how much money you get for that. How much iron ore do you get? Because you get $1 for every red chocolate chip that you got. So if you set up on the back of your page or to the side in the margin, you put 6 times however many gold pieces. 3 for blue times however many pieces of blue cobalt you took out. 1 times however many red iron ore pieces you took. Green 2 times however many pieces of copper you have. And brown, which is your chromite, 2 times however many pieces. Okay, is everybody doing that? Because this is where the money's coming back to you now. And you can see there's a whole bunch of jobs in this sector. You have to have financial people, you have to have people who can cook food for the workers, you got to have mechanics that repair your equipment. You need geoscientists to map, and environmental scientists to ensure that the land is taken well care for. Okay, has everybody got that done? Who's looking profitable at this point? Things looking good? Lots of money coming in? Did you mine lots of money over there, ladies? Did you get lots of minerals? Iron ore is $1. Copper green is $2. Brown chromite is $2. Gold is $6. And cobalt, we gave it at 3, which is blue. Okay, I'm actually not going to pay you yet because we're going to wait and find out how it's looking when we got rehabilitation added to it. Because the shareholders right now, they're anxious. You've put out news releases. Everybody's feeling pretty good. You've got some really good production values. Your mill's cranking out your concentrate. You've got a strong market for it. Commodities are holding their value. Things are feeling good. You're really thinking, hey, this is a good gig. All right. Everybody got their money values figured out? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to count the number of squares that your initial footprint was, and outside of it where your mining activity did a little bit of a destruction to the landscape. We know that you had to rip some of it out in order to get the mineral from the rock. So now you've mapped it. Now you have to put into your pay sheet for 1 square, you have to pay $1. So now you have to count your squares, and if you have a big wide footprint where you did your mining, you have to pay $1 for every square outside the original area. Because you've got to pay someone to put that back. From the initial footprint to the new line on the outside that you after you'd mined. You count all those squares in that area. And you pay $1. $1. It costs you to put the land back into a stable condition. It's not the same land, we know that. But it has to be safe. It's monitored for many, many years after, the water quality and what it's used for, and ensure that there is no legacy, bad legacy, from your activity of mining the mineral from that rock. How's these companies doing now? Are you feeling good about your profit margins? How's the ladies? How's your profit margin there after you did your reclamation activities? Oh, that's not looking good. Remember, when you started out, people gave you money because they felt really good about what you stood for and how it was all going to come together for some kind of return on their money. How did you make out? Bankrupt? Uh-oh, bankrupt. That's not good. How did you guys make out? You had lots of properties over there. Oh, we have a profit over here. This is a profitable miner. Okay, you went broke. What about at the back there? Did anybody make more money than $8? A profit of more than $8 when they figured it all out? Oh, you're still calculating. Okay, so what's the message here? Oh yeah, you got more than $8? You made a profit. 24. I suspect you were very, very careful with the way you picked your minerals out of your rock. Where you kept it a very neat footprint. And that's the moral of the story here, guys. That the mining activity that you do, and that's why when you think about all the jobs that are in the mining sector, you have to remember that from start to finish, there's multiple people and occupations that are employed in order to make it a profitable and responsible business. And recognizing that these things takes years and years and years before you even start to get some return on your money. In the exploration phase alone, you can have people coming in and out of a location, and as they said in previous speakers, they're bringing in money to communities, they're using the hotels, they're buying food, they're renting cars, they're buying gas. These explorationists are responsible for bringing in money, but it may not necessarily mean that there is going to be a mine. It's a very, very expensive and lengthy process, and it has to be economical for someone to enter into that business. So I want to thank you for participating in this exercise. I hope that you understand a little more about how the mining cycle works and the fact that there's lots of opportunity in exploration, as there is through all the various stages of the mining cycle. If I could get you please to simply put your money all back together, because I'm going to use that money. And so if you have an envelope, which I gave you an envelope for at the beginning, if you could hand back the envelopes and the money, and the rest of it, I think we'll call that a day. All right? Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. Don't go away. We have something for you as a token of our appreciation. I'd like to thank you for your entertaining and engaging presentation. That's really enlightening how to explore those mineral opportunities. Thank you. Now, coffee break.
Who's going to be our audience the next time? It's 40 minutes, right? Well, I was hoping it's going to be mostly high school students, but now the public school wants it to be more sort of teachers. So teachers can take it back and have more to tell all the students. So it's going to be a mix, a very strong mix.
Not a bad idea.
Employers,
It'd be easier for you.
parents, and students. So it's maybe simple language. Here are the opportunities that are available. This is what you need.
Yeah.
See, the game would be awesome, but I think that would be, like, I love the game, but I think what they really need is, this is what's going on, these are the opportunities that are coming, this is what you need to get into.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that easily enough too.
All right. This was amazing. Did you guys come up with this? Well,
They kind of come up with everything, don't they? You guys come up with all the games you play.
Well, this is actually, I don't think we actually came up, and this was here at Mining Matters when I arrived. I did this up in Anawaska with senior students. It's usually, for me to really do a good job of explaining how it all works, it would usually take about 2 hours for them to really understand all the components to it. But I think, for the most part, they got the gist of it.
Do you want to start making $9 files?
$9
$19.
Oh, 19.
$19 files.
Some of them,
3 5s and 4 1s.
Yeah.
they have to have money to do their taxes.
And nobody got fined. They usually catch them doing something wrong.
No, it's too fast, so we get to
Yeah. I'm sure there will be usually lots of.
Well, one guy, when I walked over there, he'd already mined
You
everything.
didn't get government approval?
No.
You didn't tell me?
Well, I didn't know. The rules
Way
at
to
the
go.
time.
We could have gotten some more money out of it.
Oh, no, we
Wait, though, do we want to use these ones again?
Yeah, some of them have been written on.
no.
They did math.
It's okay. Yeah, use it because then I'll just.
How many times have you run this game?
Well, we usually do it in all of the summer programs. I thought I was doing it with 200. That's why I freaked.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine running
I
that?
went out last night and bought like 10 things of cookies.
Now you can have a big turkey party.
You can do those cookies.
Well, almost can't take them home because they get smashed up.
Might as well leave them for us.
Door prize.
Door prize.
Speaking of cookies, you guys should go have cookies. They're really good. They're fresh from the oven.
And then I paid, like, I asked the guys at the front to give me 50 more of these. Oh yeah, I was freaking when you said.
Well, that's kind of what we thought, hey?
Well, I think
But you know, if
Leanne
I
Hall was the
if
one
I
that you
had
were-
if I had it on right after lunch, I would have had a lot more in there.
Yeah. Did Leanne Hall get in touch with you? Come.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are working together, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we work with the camps.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Excellent.
Where are you going from here, Barb?
I go back home.
Tonight.
Yeah. It's kind of the same gig as when I come up for you. It's going to be like fly up and fly back.
Are you
It's
flying
so
back
busy.
that night? No. You must be flying back the next morning. You said ends at 8:30.
Yeah, I'm flying back first thing in the morning, like
You
6
can go back to the spa. How was it that day? Here. Was it good? Was it horrible?
Well, no, it was, they wouldn't take me.
Really?
You wouldn't believe what happened to me. Okay, so then after that, I walked across the street because they said, well, maybe there's something across the street. And there's a hair salon on the other side, an esthetician, aesthetics, right? Went in there and they said, no, we don't do that. Okay, well, now all I want to do is maybe get my nails done. I don't care about the massage anymore. So he phones Toronto Nails, and they don't answer. And I left that guy, the hair salon guy, and went to the mall, thinking there'd be something in the mall. The cab, as I'm getting out of the cab, I realized I'd left my purse back. So now I have to pay the cab guy to go back and get my purse. Oh, it was brutal. It was a disaster. It went downhill so fast. Anyway, I was glad when I
Finally got
And then there's
home.
nothing in the mall.
No, the mall is like
There's
a
nothing
dead
in the
zone
mall.
now.
There's like
mall?
In our city, there's nothing left.
There's no nail salons in a mall that size. Like in Toronto, there'd be like about 3.
Right on Thunder Bay.
Well, they all said, they basically said the same thing. Yeah, we don't have those services in Thunder Bay. I said, your women here, I'm sure.
Wow.
Anyway, so that was that crazy story. I know, whatever.
Just forgetting your first message.
Oh, it was. It was like roaches. So yeah. Anyway, we worked it out.
Well, once I know more about mission employability,
Okay. So you think it's going to be quite a few?
yeah, about
Yeah.
100 people in total.
Really?
Yeah, that's going to be directors from the Superior Workforce Planning Board. It's going to be teachers, parents, employers, other presenters that are doing like panel presenting.
Right.
Students. So a whole mix. But if I think we do sort of simple, easy to follow language, bang, 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 here are the opportunities, this is why it's coming, this is what you should do to prepare or whatever, I think that would be the most beneficial.
Okay. Well, I think what I'll do is I'll take actually some of what John Mason said, because like those were the opportunities. I mean, he knows.
Yeah, I was thinking about seeing if you come in and do, like, be one of the panel presenters as well.
Yeah.
Just to, keep throwing in, like, this is what's coming. You need the
Repetition and like
Bang,
a
bang,
sense
bang,
of, guys, you got to get on this. Like, you can't let just pass you by. This is a huge opportunity for you.
The more people talk about the opportunities and what they need to do to get into these, the better.
Hi.
Good job, you.
Well, but they're coming out, nothing happened, you know. So that's true.
There's reasons why it's up.
Yeah, and so it's a balance. It's part of it. Credibility. That's what we have to work for. We work off our end.
She understands. It's that having that. You understand the reality of stuff. You look at
want me to say something to hint them out, or Madge? Are you going to say something?
Hello again, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? It's almost 3 o'clock. This is our last set of concurrent workshops. And so I just want to remind you that, that in this room, in the Kaministiquia room at 3 o'clock, you'll be listening to a presentation on regional post-secondary training for careers in mining. And there are 3 facilitators. If you're interested in career readiness, that's on the upper level in Mackenzie Room, A. And innovations in mining, there are 2 panelists. That is also in the upper level. All right, so we're prepared to start this afternoon's session, and Dave Farrell, one of our directors, is here to introduce the guest speakers. All right, we'll see you later. We'll see you back in this room at the end of that session at 3:45. Thank you.
I was coming down to get you to do that.
Oh, they are. Oh, hi. Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave. John.
Hi, John. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, no, we always look for you guys first. Well, if you wanted to put it on the machine here while I introduce John, and we'll get started. So I was just going to go in the order here. If that, what was said? John and then Mary and Scott. Oh, you go last? Okay, what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I want to read that to the end. Well, yeah, or you want questions during or I was going to say after.
Put up a picture that says Lincoln University and
Okay, I'll just leave it open now.
So who's still left at Lakeland? Geology lab. When were you last there? I graduated in 1992. Are you graduated from Harvard? Wow. That's so cool. At mining school and so 1992. So Stanford. That's not interesting. So Steve Gibson's still there. Yeah. So he's retiring in another year. But I'm still okay. Erin Gordon just retired. Oh yeah. In December.
If I could have everybody's attention, we're going to get started. If you could take your seats, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to welcome everybody to our session on regional post-secondary training for careers in mining. My name is Dave Farrell, and I'm a director on the North Superior Workforce Planning Board, and I'm really proud to be 2 out of 3. I'm a graduate from the college a little while ago, 1973, one of my awards, and I'm also a graduate from the university, 2007, and I just graduated from another university just last year. So I'm pretty proud of this. Maybe I'll have to go to Cambrian just to make it a full shot here. Maybe mining's my next career. I've changed careers so often. I left industry and I worked a number of careers. So if you want to talk about a person who's reinvented himself a number of years, come and see me. It's all about reinventing yourself, and again, it's never too late to learn. So first off, we have about 10 minutes each for everybody to talk and some chance to ask questions. One of our presenters wants you to ask questions during her presentation, so she'll let you know. Otherwise, we're going to keep it to 10 minutes, and then there'll be even time at the end to have another 10 minutes before we have to go into our final session. I'd like to introduce somebody I've known for quite a while, John Hatton from Confederation College. We've worked together for many years. So, John, please, come on forward.
Good afternoon. What we're going to do as a panel here with the 3 educational institutes represented is look at what you want as far as information on post-secondary education. I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to ask Dave to change the slides, if you can, and maybe just give me 1 second, I'll fix that. Okay. Thank you. And again, please ask questions. This is, we think we know what you want, but we don't know unless you ask us. What I want to go over quickly is post-secondary education is critical. We talked a little bit this morning. I talked a little about my presentation about shorter-term courses. Again, there's an immediate need for 2 parties. One is the employee, people need to work right away, but also the employer. They need people to work right away. So that short-term gap is filled from existing graduates, from short-term courses that are offered through our college and other colleges across Ontario. But the post-secondary is something a little different. By definition, that's traditional educational route where you go into a program which is usually 4 to 8 semesters. The normal college programs are 2 years, 4 semesters. University is more like 8 semesters. Cambrian College is represented as well, and we all have specialties in different areas. Not to say, everybody can't do everything in an expert fashion. So we try to share each other programs and have expertise. What I wanted to share with you first is you heard a lot of presentations this morning, John Mason's presentation on what's happening in mining. Mining is not just rocks. Mining is a bunch of jobs that help get that rock out of the ground into market. So everything from economists, human resource professionals, accountants, IT professionals, etc. So don't just think of running a scoop tram or being a geologist or a geotech or something. There are other jobs. So what we offer at a community college level are a number of different opportunities in post-secondary education. We heard about the trades from Ministry of Training College and University. We heard pre-tech type trades, things like instrumentation, millwrighting, steam fitting, power engineering. Those are all the traditional ones. We do have a 1-year mining technique program which we share with Cambrian College, where you can take 1 year here and then move on to Sudbury to take your 2nd year. The other things are the more traditional business type courses like marketing, communications, human resource accounting, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all kinds of different things you can do. What I want to talk about briefly is how someone gets into those programs. And it simply means that you have to be prepared properly. And one of the things, and I'm just going to quickly go through this model of training that we have, and I think it helps explain the post-secondary. From a college perspective, we're very sensitive to training to jobs. In other words, education is more learning information about things, but we look at the term training as giving skills and competencies that will help you get a job. So in order to do that, we're job-centered, which means if you follow that circle around, number one is we have to be employee-centered. We have to talk to employers. And that means getting on committees, using advisory committees for most of our programs, talking to people. Like today, I spent a lot of time, boring people from North American Palladium and Barrick about what do you guys need out there? When is the demand going to occur? What skill sets do you need? So if we're going to be job-centered, we have to be employer-centered. So the college system tends to rely a lot on employee advisory committees, going out to the sites. I was just arranging a trip up to North American Palladium, the Lac des Îles site, so our president can go up there, myself and some of our colleagues, to see what the jobs are like. And like anything, seeing slides is one thing, being there is another. So that's the first thing we look at. We have to talk to employers to know what jobs we train for, post-secondary or contract. The second thing is assessment. Everybody does not want to be a surface diamond driller. Everybody does not want to be an accountant. So we use a number of different tools to assess people's skills, aptitudes, etc., to make sure we get the right person for the right job. And that's critical. There's nothing worse than someone saying, I want to get into mining because I can make lots of money, or there's jobs. They get into it, they go underground, and they find it's not for them. Or they get into a diamond drilling job where it's outside and you're away for 28 days at a time, not for them. So, right person for the right job, assessment. Not only their assessment for aptitude, but there's something we call essential skills. Now, essential skills are simply, if you're getting into a geology program or a mining techniques program, and there's a math course in there, you have to do some basic math, and your grade 12 didn't bring you to that level, you're not going to succeed. So we want to make sure that you have those essential skills, which include things like, basic arithmetic and math, basic communication skills like reading and writing, some life skills, etc. So those are critical. So we find out what people want, then we talk to potential students and find out if they are the right person for that. If they're not, if it's, say, math is an issue, and believe me, and I think every post-secondary institution finds that math is an issue. We don't want to blame the high schools, but it's something that seems to be losing ground. And if you look at some of the scores across Canada and how we rate internationally, our math skills are getting worse and worse and worse. If you compare us to Germany, Sweden, and other emerging countries like China and Pakistan, etc., we're not doing well. So people will go into the arts and can get by without math, but you can't go into jobs specifically in mining necessarily without some good math skills. So we have programs, whether they be online or class or self-taught, or just programs that we call knocking the rust off. You know, just giving people a little bit of an uptake on those skills so they can be successful. We don't want to put people in post-secondary programs and have them flunk out because they can't do the math or they can't write a research paper. So that's important. So once that assessment is done, the upgrading, then we look at skills training. Then we look at the stuff that everybody wants to do to get their hands on the rocks and the equipment and whatever it is they do. And that includes all the other soft skill programs like accounting and HR, et cetera. So essential skills are critical. The other piece that we try to integrate into all our courses, and from an academic point of view, we call them effective objectives, which simply mean attitudes. What employers tell us time and time again is they want someone that's extremely safety conscious, because again, anyone in industry here knows that a person who gets injured on the job is a detriment to themselves and the company. We want them to have a good work ethic around quality, pride of work, showing up on time, etc. So we try to weave those into our post-secondary programs. Probably the hardest thing to teach, and as academics I think we know that. We can teach someone how to fix something, we can't teach them why. And if you ever watch, don't want to embarrass anybody, but watch Mike Holmes on TV, and that's his big ethic. He says, you know, the colleges, and I've heard him do presentations on this, he says, we teach people how to cut 2x4s, but we don't teach them about why and why it should be square and straight, etc. So attitude is critical, and we try to weave that into all our post-secondary programs. So that's the skill set. The other circle around there in the colors are the other things that we do it within a set of values. And the sets of values are the partnerships. Partnerships are paramount. You cannot do anything by yourselves. Our partnership with Cambrian College. We have partnerships with Bob Mack from Northern College on some of our things. Lakehead University, we have some of our programs that have what are called articulation agreements. Articulation agreements mean you can go for a couple of years to the college and then move into the university stream. We need to go a long way on that, but it's getting better. So our mechanical engineering program is probably one of the flagships there. We're looking at accounting. We would love to run a geotech program and lead into your program, but we don't have the lab space, and your lab space is full, Mary Louise. So even at midnight, we can't use it. But partnerships are critical with companies, educational institutions, communities, etc. So that's one of the values we have, are the partnerships, and I mean meaningful partnerships, not just, as I said earlier today, putting logos on the flyers. It's what do you give us and what do we give you? And it's very important. The other things is the pride and respect, and we do that in particular a lot with our First Nations people, and that we have to instill pride and respect among each other and in the work we do, and that's again a value of Confederation College. The other thing we look at is the whole concept of working with communities and having academic excellence. That is a real challenge. I mean, what we want to do, we don't want to train people in an advanced or a fast-track program just to get them on the job. It has to be the same. And we look at training, say, carpenters, and we had a program in Sioux Lookout where we were told time and time again, keep the academic excellence at a level of which you would be taught in at Thunder Bay or Toronto or Sudbury or wherever. So we're really aware of that. We want to make sure that anything we do has the rigor that meets the standards that the industry demands, whether it be writing a test separately or having a diploma from us. Shouldn't just mean a diploma that we hand out. It should meet industry standards or employer standards. And cultural awareness is good too. So that's kind of our model. I'll pass it over to Mary Louise, and we can answer questions after. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, John. Mary Louise from Lakehead University. Actually, I really enjoy Lakehead. I worked there and went to school there, so it's a great place. Mary Louise.
So good afternoon. I'm a professor of geology at Lakehead University, and I want to talk a little bit about the programs at the university that can prepare you for a career in mining, but I'm going to focus on geology because that's my expertise. If you take this pamphlet out of your registration package, this is that MNDM pamphlet that John Mason spoke about earlier, and it has a list of all of these careers for which a university education is expected. You will see that among those careers listed is geology, geochemistry, geophysics, I might add environmental geology, and those are all programs that you can take within the Department of Geology at Lakehead University. Those are all skill sets that we can deliver in this four-year university program that we have. Actually, we have 2-degree programs. If I go to the next slide. Oops, go ahead, and I'll go back. Yeah, that's good. No, yeah. Okay, we have 2 main degree programs. We have a program in geology, a straight major in geology, and geology is the science of the earth. So that's where we include the geochemistry, the geophysics, the economic geology, and we have a regular Bachelor of Science program and what we call an Honors Bachelor of Science program, which has you doing research in your 4th year. I've just come back from teaching classes to my 4th year students at Lakehead, and I must say that by February in their graduating year, they're ready to go out into the world and be professional geologists. And that's a good thing, because one of the things they will have to do as practicing professional geologists is apply for registration as a professional geologist through the APGO, which is the Association of Professional Geoscientists of Ontario. And so there's a high standard to meet there, and our program prepares students for that. This morning when we heard from our keynote speaker, John Mason, he was introduced as the smartest man in the room, and we're really proud that he's a Lakehead graduate. And he talked about this registration. He's a registered professional geologist, and that's something that we keep our program always up to the standard that our graduates will be able to apply for that registration as soon as they've got the work experience they need. Now the programs are all course-based, lab-based, and field-based. Lakehead University graduates are known throughout, we used to say throughout Ontario, but now I'm going to have to say throughout Canada and beyond, as students who are really, really well prepared for field work. And so our graduates are working in Australia, in Alaska, in the Yukon, in South America, in Central America. They're all over the world working on different projects, and what's really appreciated by employers is that experience in the field. The other degree program that we offer in our department is the program in Water Resource Science. And Water Resource Science is an environmental geology program with a focus on water resources, hydrology. And this is a good program for geologists who want to work on applications, environmental applications. This is especially critical for the operation stage of a mine and for mine closure. And again, I want to talk about how geologists are involved in all aspects of the mining industry. Now we will go back one slide. So geologists are involved in exploring for new deposits. Geologists are the ones that head out into the field and map the rock formations, try to understand them and figure out where we should be looking for new deposits. And then when we find something that's interesting, geologists are the ones that lead the drilling and sampling programs to further explore those deposits and determine whether this is something that's likely to be of economic value. And then geologists, if it is something that we're going to develop as a mine, geologists are involved in developing the mine. They have to delineate the size and quality of the ore deposit and guide the planning of the mining operations. And then once the mining operation starts, geologists are involved in the day-to-day operation of the mine. There are geologists that are right out on the mining faces, either in the pit or underground on the freshly blasted faces, sampling the rock, sampling the ore, monitoring its quality, and constantly guiding the mining operations to make sure they stay on the highest grade ore and remove the ore at an economical rate. So they're involved in that. And at the same time as the mine is operating, there's a team of geologists that's exploring for more ore right on the property to advance the mine development as it goes on in its life cycle. And every mine someday runs out of ore. Some of our mines take a long time to get there, but someday it's a finite resource. It will run out. And in Ontario, before you can open a mine, you have to have a mine closure plan. So geologists are actually involved in designing those mine closure plans And they actually have to be ready before the mine is allowed to open. So that's work that gets done early. And then, of course, at the time of mine closure, there has to be a preparation for that mine closure and then the implementation of that closure design. Geologists are involved in all of those aspects of the mining industry. So there's lots of interesting jobs for geologists. If you're interested in those jobs and in being involved in the mining industry in that way, then a university degree is for you. The entrance to the university degree program typically requires a grade 12 degree or grade 12 diploma from high school. We have math and science requirements, but not a geology requirement. You don't have to have ever had a geology course in your life. We're quite happy in the first year geology course to teach you everything you need to know to get started in the geology program. A little bit of math, a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, a little bit of biology, those would be helpful. And again, for people who don't have those in their background, we do provide courses that can bring you up to the university level. For people who are fresh out of high school, we like to talk to you about picking the right courses while you're in high school to prepare for this program. For people who are changing careers, we're very happy to accept you as what we call a mature student. If you've been out of high school 3 years, you're a mature student, and we will sit down and look at what you have taken, what your life experience has been, and help design a program to get you up to speed in this geology program, or whichever other program you choose. If you either have recently dropped out of school, so you don't have life experience, or you've been out of school a great long time and you think you're not ready to go right into university, then as we heard from John, we partner with the college and we're very happy to direct you to some excellent programs there where you can knock the rust off or get up to speed in the maths and sciences that you need for the geology program. But it's a really fun program. I started with pictures of students in the classroom, in the field, and most people enjoy it, and everybody is getting a wonderful job upon graduation right now. I'll take questions, I guess, after. I think it's fine for all of us to talk first, and I just wanted to mention that the next speaker is also a Lakehead University graduate.
There's a trend here. And being a very mature student, in fact, that's how I got into graduate school last year. So I'd like to introduce Catherine Bruce from Cambria College. Catherine.
Good afternoon. You guys are really lucky. You don't get one geologist or two geologists. It seems like you get like a whole herd of them. So, yeah, sorry. My name's Kate Bruce, and I am currently the program coordinator of the mining program at Cambrian College in Sudbury. My background, yes, I have a geology degree from Lakehead back in the day, but before that I have a geological engineering technology from Sir Stamford Fleming in Lindsay Frost campus, and a diploma in mining engineering from the Hillibury School of Mines, and a Bachelor of Education degree from Simon Fraser. I was old when I did that too, so that's recent. What I'm going to try and get going today is the presentation that I give to the first year mining students, rookie day one, and we go through. Geez, I hope I brought the right little doodad there. My background is not teaching. I'm a rookie teacher for the most part. My background is production geology, 20 years or so. I don't know. I stopped counting after a while. Production geology, underground, at an assortment of places across Canada, and I love working underground. I love talking about working underground. I love blowing things up. I love rocks, talking about rocks, and I'm really enjoying with the students as they start out. I mean, sometimes it's hard to remember when we were rookies, but it sure is nice to see those keen, eager, sometimes not even having a clue faces in first year. as they enter this world. And I don't think there's any miners in the crew that are going to say that it's not a really, really, really cool field to be in. Thunder Bay is doing well now. The entire industry is doing well globally, including not just in Canada. Uh-oh. Did you find it? I think. Oh, here. You know what? Just leave that one on. Just leave that picture on. Okay. I'll just wing it with this. This is taken at Nickel Rim South mine in Sudbury. It's an extrata mine, and we wanted our third year guys to get underground for geomechanics. So we talked to one of our advisory committee members who's in charge of ground control at Nickel Rim, and we said, okay, we need to bring the guys. So the first week of classes in the fall, we all went underground, and we played around with the ground control. The program basically goes, first year is all introductory, so we do introduction to mining, we do surveying, we do intro geology, which is mineralogy. You got to learn, like Barb Kirby was talking this morning about the ingredients in the bread. Well, in geology land, the ingredients in what we make are the minerals. So we spend the first semester talking about the minerals. Second semester, we put those minerals into a series of recipes, and poof, out comes your rocks. And we have a tendency to equate everything to food. Mining guys. So we make cookies. The ingredients in those cookies are going to be the minerals, and the cookies themselves are going to be the rocks. So we start with the basics. And just like was said, you don't need to know anything about geology, and a lot of guys don't know anything. They don't even know what mining is when they step in that door, and that's okay, because that's our job, to convey what mining is and how passionate we are. We've got a very talented crew of professors at Cambrian, with an assortment of mining and related industry experience, geophysicists, geologists, production people, surveying types. We've got a lot of talent in the department. We also have a lot of support from industry partners. We have a very dynamic program advisory committee of our industry friends, and I think our dean is with me today, Joan Campbell, and she can attest to the fact that sometimes our advisory meetings they can get kind of like a safety meeting, a safety huddle at the mine. They can get pretty dynamic at times, and it gets pretty colorful, but that's okay. We are miners, and that's what we're doing what we're meant to do. We encourage the students to in both the technical skills and also the work-related, those skills that you can't carry around in a basket. They're not related to having a 2H pencil or a computer. They're showing up on time. They're being accountable for your work. They're having good, firm communication skills. They're recognizing respect for the fact that you are in an industry, and it is an industry that requires you to be thinking first and foremost about safety, the safety of yourself and the safety of others that you're working for. It's not about producing that ounce of gold or that carat of diamonds. It's about going home at the end of the day, whether it's back to your room at the camp or it's home to your abode, wherever you happen to be living. Safety is pervasive right from day one. We require our students to obtain and to utilize proper industry standard PPE for everything from surveying in the parking lot to our industrial site tours, underground and surface and whatever. Some of the classes that we have in second year, they get a little bit more involved. Our second year group looks at ground control, support systems design, mine blasting, which is one of my personal favorites. We don't. We get to learn the theory of how fragmentation, rock fragmentation, should occur, and if they're lucky, and we get the opportunity, then we actually get to see a blast, and that's also beneficial. But thanks to technology, there's lots of recorded blasts that have gone right, wrong, and not at all. That we can use and we can analyze. We've got a large geology component. We've got mine equipment, mine services, mine ventilation, and our program is accredited. It's the only nationally accredited mining technician technology programs. We instruct, we teach to the standard of accreditation, and all of the professors in the department put their professional reputations behind the content. So if I'm not going to work that way, I'm certainly not going to teach that way. So. And I think that's probably in line, knowing the crew at Lakehead and some of the guys from Confederation College, some of the students who've come from their one-year certificate, we're all in line very nicely with that. We also have an arrangement with the Heidelberg School of Mines that their second year are eligible for our third-year MNTY program. So we are very much in partner with the other post-secondary institutions that are doing mining and mineral resource programming. So if you've got anybody who's looking for the coolest career ever, who's willing to walk on the wild side, who's willing to be talked about at those family reunions where, yeah, she always was a bit of a nut bar. Well, that's okay. If you got people like that, then mining is definitely the way to go. So we'd like to see them at Cambrian. We have a number of students participating as part of second career. It's very popular, and we encourage the fact that mining, the actual get down, drill, blast, muck out kind of thing is a small part, and our talent that we train to is a little further, a great deal wider than that. Technicians, technologists are going to be involved in more than just the mining part of it, and. For example, we've got a lady in first year who's a welder, and her knee went on her, so she can't weld anymore. But she's the best AutoCAD operator I think I've ever seen in a long time in that program. So she'll be absolutely fine. A lot of talent. So if you are working with your clients, anybody looking for career changes. Mining is definitely a valued and respected career choice. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. That's a great one to leave up. We have a little bit of a chance for some questions. If anybody would like to give a question, just let me know who you are and where you're from. I have a question that maybe is geared to everybody just to start off, because we have a lot of people here that some of us, we learn really well from experiential learning, in other words, doing things by our hands. So is that a main component, getting experience either at a co-op or as part of for each of your programs?
Okay, so in the university programs, there's a lot of work in the lab. Almost every course will have a lab component, so working with actual rock samples, core maps. And then the university school year is so short, there's 4 months off in the summer, and our students typically work with a mining or exploration company during those 4 months of the summer. And it's good pay, it's great pay, and that pays for your university tuition. So that's the way to go through. I forgot to mention when I was up here before that I brought pamphlets with some information about the university programs, and I'll leave them up here.
Cambrian, if we don't have it, we go get it, and if it means going underground ourselves to find it, we do it. So Sometimes we get students that are kind of in the high school mode where they dress up for class, and unfortunately, we sometimes have to go tell them to put on their muckers because it's not when we're in the labs, it's anything goes. So yeah, you really need to be willing and up for the whole experience.
Same thing. I think we all believe that experience is fabulous. You have to have it, and that's one of the philosophies of a college in general. It's applied learning. So anytime we try to do any course, there's obviously a theory component, but a big part is hands-on, no matter what program we do, and it's invaluable. But again, you know, you mentioned safety. We don't let anyone touch anything unless they have gone through complete safety training. So hands-on, and that goes everything from a human resource program to accounting. So it's really critical, and we do it all the time.
Do we have any more? We still have about 5 minutes if we have any other questions. Go ahead, Jason.
Just a quick question. Safety has always been a passion of mine. I'm wondering, is there any thoughts or plans on developing a mining safety program where you maybe develop some safety professionals going forward?
Not in specific, Jason. I mean, again, it's critical. I think we try to make sure it's, I guess more of a personal philosophy, it shouldn't be separate. It should be ingrained and woven through the whole program. Safety is a state of mind. And if you look at what's happening in the province right now as far as safety training, we're having kind of an epidemic of incidents across the province, and everybody's looking at different ways to make sure that does not happen. As it was said, everyone wants to go home at the end of the day with all their fingers and toes, etc. So it's a good thought. Safety training is certainly high on our radar, and I'd love to talk to you about maybe a better way to do it. But we weave it in, but maybe something separate is a good idea as well.
Mining is the second safest industry in the country, second only to education. However, I'd like to dispute that. In my first 6 weeks of returning to surface work, I had to jump out of the way of vehicles and other things more times than I cared to mention, and I finally went into my boss at the school where I was teaching in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories and said, I got to quit because this job is just not safe. Got to go underground. It's too damn dangerous on surface. So when you put safety first, everything else falls into place behind it, and that's a pretty fundamental philosophy. And having people educated in safety fundamentals and philosophies is really quite a nice. It would make a nice partnership with a lot of industrial programs. I think that might be something to consider. Absolutely.
Great answers. Any more questions? Well, we're a couple of minutes early, but thank you very much for being here with us. If you have an interest in post-secondary, I'm sure our panel will be here to answer any of your questions. Please come up and talk to them. There's a way to get there. If you want to get there, there's a way to get there. I'm an example as a mature student, done it twice in my life. In the right institutions, they'll open the doors. There's ways. If you want to go there, you can go there. You don't turn down being a geologist or being a mine person because you don't think you can. There's supports out there. Come and talk to these people. They'll get you to that point. And we have a token of our appreciation for our panel. So, and just keep in mind our final session starts at 4 o'clock. Is it? At 4 o'clock. So back here at 4 o'clock to wrap up in our final session, and go see our trade show. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Oh, yes, let me try to. Sorry, we're starting in a couple of minutes. I depended on my boss here. And
then when they come in, they're frustrated because it's still 4 more years. I'm just saying that we have 170 students in the geology program right now. So the rooms are used all the time. You don't need to teach them geology. You want to have a room for geology for articulation. Geotech is ends actually. But if you want to, so different topic, and I think that's a really good program, but I don't think that we can help.
The rest of the Passport to Prosperity goes, right?
No, it's all going to go with the
Kobo reader. Oh.
So we can just take that and then the big picture there.
Oh, there it is. If, now, what big frame is that? Do you remember?
Oh, is that what that's called?
Yeah. What property
McIntyre
was it?
something.
Okay.
What is McIntyre?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, the light is on his hat.
That's what happened.
I thought it was off. Great. Better show them how cool that is. The light's on. Low and high beams. And yeah.
Holy cow.
Good for hunting specifications, I guess. I need to confirm that.
There you go.
More willing to travel.
Have you seen Elaine?
So again, like they have that mindset.
Yeah, sure do.
That's what we want to do.
So what about people who want to travel? Because if you bring in people that don't want to travel, then they're going to hate their job, and if they pass it. So you have to be honest right from the beginning.
But he's associated with Musselwhite?
Mm-hmm. He works underground there. Yeah.
Was he working in the mines at
Inmet. He started at Inmet. Yeah, he was working at the in the what do you call that? Just the where they have all the materials. The warehouse. Started in the warehouse, and then the other guy came back on, and then he was just dedicated to delivering underground from the warehouse. And the guys really liked it because he's always on top of stuff. He hates being late. And yeah, so when they closed, he went to Northwest Territories for a while. He's worked in Marathon, but he's been at Musselwhite, I think maybe 4 or 5 years now, Cam. Yeah, and it's a nice, it's a 2 and 2. He loves it. Yeah. So 2 weekdays, then he gets 2 weeks off, then 2 weeks nights. So he takes 2 weeks vacation, and he has 6 weeks off. Right? It's beautiful. You work half a year, really? They're long shifts. You're away from home. You're living in a dorm, but they feed you well. There's a gym. You know what I mean? You can make it, or, you know, they have rec association and... Oh, absolutely. They treat them, oh yeah. I know, because I said to him, I said, my God, you get an array of salads every supper. Like, don't expect that. When you come home, like, that ain't going to happen.
My wife got so mad on our anniversary, I phoned up and I said, well, today we had lobster and shrimp and whatever, and she said, well, I had a ham sandwich, and she said, no. She hung up on me.
I hear you. It's true. Yeah.
I gotta find out how to get that. That's a good place.
And for the most part, he likes the company. It's Gold Corp. Yeah. And actually, there's a lady here, Beatrix. She's with HR at Musselwhite. Yeah, she's on the far. She was, anyway. I know, because he was speaking to her. And I still haven't met her, but I haven't been over there. But, yeah, absolutely. Actually, you can either leave them on the table, or we'll collect them at the door, you know, on the way out, where we have all the tables set up. Yeah, but you can even just leave them on the table here, and we'll collect them.
I got a really bad cold. Yeah. How's your wonderful husband? Still living? Can you give me a shot? Can you give me a shot? I never got a shot. I never hear from him. You were very busy.
No, don't worry. I'm waiting for the people to come back, and they're not.
I just wanted to say that I thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. You obviously don't like it. I'm Steve.
Hi, I'm Kate.
You must be from the Maritime.
No.
Is it Maritime? I thought for sure.
That's wrong, yeah.
I'm from Southern Ontario.
Well, I tell you, you would take it at UND, right? That's a good one. There's a lot of UND geologists. Oh, you were? Okay. He must have been a jerk.
I think he was a millwright. He was one of these guys that was so mechanically talented. And when we went to Thunder Bay, I took geology, and he was going to take mechanical, and he did mechanical, and I stayed with geology. He's actually the master mechanic on the new shaft at Red Lake.
Oh, wow. Anyway, you obviously, it's really nice to hear your presentation. I think you got everybody fired up. Hopefully all those kids on the other side. If I were you, I'd...
Here we are.
If I were you, I'd go over there and I think it's really jump all over this place. And your energy, enthusiasm, you probably have 7.
We should have had you on first thing in the morning.
Well,
Earlier in the day.
Are you in the right place this morning? And it's got a big piece of gold, because I always do that on the first morning.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I enjoyed yours. Do your family really talk about you?
Oh, yeah.
I find that very nice.
I do get to give that out? Oh. Can they hear me?
Welcome back, everyone. The day's almost over. Now it's time for the really fun things. First of all, just a reminder, inside your package today, there was a purple form. It's an evaluation sheet, and we really urge you to fill that out. It's going to tell us if we did a good job today, all right? Was the workshops, was the whole event what you were hoping it could be? Were your questions answered? Did you find everyone approachable? Were the right people here? If not, who wasn't here that should have been? So we need that kind of feedback, so we're presenting a forum that's really fits your needs. So please fill that out, and again, because of the kind donation from one of our sponsors, if you fill out that evaluation form, we'll collect them at the end of the day. You can either leave them in the center of the tables here, and we'll collect them, or on the way out of the hotel where you first registered, our staff is still there and you can drop off the evaluation forms there. And we'll only be able to contact you if you give your name. All right? So please have that and your contact information on the form. So that's the first thing. We also have a number of different door prizes. So what I'd like to do is call upon my co-chairs, if I could, have Frank and Elaine come up. I told them that it was time for a little comic relief, so I'm not sure what they have planned. But if you knew the players, you'd almost be worried. But here they are, and I'll try to control them.
Okay, Frank. Okay, the first one. Okay, so we're going to go for the first prize here. I'm going to let Frank do this one. I'm waiting to do the trip. So Frank, you go. No, we don't.
That's a trick.
You got your glasses on?
I've got my glasses on. The number is 729971.
We'll call it 3 times and then we'll drop it. Oh,
Oh,
we have a winner.
we need to have
We
verification,
have a
sir.
young man in the front.
What's the winner? What's the prize?
What
Here's
is the
prize.
prize? Here you
It's
go,
from
sir.
Cliffs Resources.
Okay,
There you go.
There you go. This gentleman has just won a summer wardrobe. So Frank, we're going to get another ticket out of there, and we have a really, really nice bag going now.
Compliments off.
It's compliments of the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples, and look how nice it is. Hang on, I don't have a number in there, Frank. My own number. We weren't allowed, were we?
Oh, your number in there.
No, I don't have one. I
too
can't
bad.
win.
Okay.
So the bag is going to 729996. Going once. Oh, a winner, way in the back there. That's a nice bag, that.
Yeah. There's a 3-month banner ad on netnewsledger.com.
There you go. So the next prize we have is a 3-month banner ad on netnewsledger.com. And those are the gentlemen that have been going around today and live. So this will be a good one. Well, they're all good, but
Yeah, please clarify.
it's been a long day. The number is 730049.
We have a winner?
Do we have a winner in the corner? Don't be shy. Woo! There you go, sir.
Three-month banner on that newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay. Your banner.
That's a business card, and you just.
Business card, you're gonna have to. Is that the number you're gonna check?
No, it's not. Yes, it is. Of course it is. Congratulations.
Do you want to combine these or should we separate?
Let's do them separate.
Okay.
So now we have a nice bag you can put your laptop in from North American Palladium, Metals for Clean Air. And the number is, I'll give this to Vanna. 729956. I hope it's not, oh, there you go. There we go. Rose is the winner. Yeah, but unfortunately you missed out on the trip. You picked that door.
Okay, then.
Oh.
That's from Thunder Bay CEDC.
Okay, I can't pick it up, Frank. This one is from Thunder Bay CEDC. This looks like it's a little bit heavy, so, oh, it's a piece of mineral. An ounce of gold. The winner is 729980. Oh, Jesus, we finally got one from this side. It may not be gold. No.
Actually, get Frank to get that one. Now, this one, Elaine's going to want to keep
Oh,
this.
Jesus, yeah, Kit Kats.
Now, the next one, you've got to see this.
Oh.
This is donated from KCATS, the Employment and Training from Matawa.
Oh, both of them?
Yeah.
They go hand in hand?
Oh, geez, I can't even operate it.
You never get lost in the dark with this one.
Okay. I'm doing something wrong.
Here.
Get it going.
Hang on a minute. Oh, here.
It's got high beams, low beams.
Wow.
Now click it again, it gets brighter. There you go.
It's a wannabe underground miner. And the winner of the hat and the water bottle are 729969. Oh boy, we got a lot of winners in that side of the room. Check if he wants the hat. I'll trade you hats. Oh, I've got one of those. My husband works for that. There you go, there's your hat, sir. Enjoy. And last but not least, we have a nice t-shirt from North American Palladium. And the winner is...
Do you want to model it?
Nope, Frank may want to model it. He's the shy one. The winner is 729953.
All
Oh!
right. Marathon.
Marathon. We got a winner from Marathon. Oh, we have one left?
There's and that picture.
Oh my God, Madge. Which one would you like me to do first?
That one.
Does my ticket go back in the draw? Because I really wanted the picture.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Is this, what mine is this?
That's beautiful. That is, I'm going to have to check, but it's a head frame. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's done by the same photographer as...
Okay, I didn't realize we have this beautiful picture as well. It's a head frame in the winter from, it's the same photographer, but we're not sure which head frame it is, but we'll find out. We'll check for you. So this one is going next. So Frank, let's get a winner. Seven, 3, 0, 0, 1, 2. Oh, here we go. We got. Congratulations.
And the last one is compliments of the Best Western Nor'Wester. It's a fireplace suite for one night, value $250.
Jeez. So now you'll be glad you stuck around, because the last gift we have going is not the trip to Florida, but instead it is a fireplace suite, one night at the Best Western here. Value of $250. So here we go.
And we just missed Valentine's Day.
Ready? Okay. Oh. 730041. Going once. 730041. Does that mean we get to keep it?
No, you get another number.
Oh. 730041? Nope. Looks like it's ours, Frank. Okay, we need another number, Frank.
Don't look, don't look.
Whoop. Okay. Oh. 729960. Whoa! There you go. Here you go, Madge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Frank. Stole it back.
Thank you very much to my co-chairs. And congratulations to all the winners. Now I'm just trying to take all the tickets off of my notes so I know what I'm supposed to be saying. But that actually concludes the day's events, the formal program. So thank you very much. I'd just like to thank Thunder Bay Community Economic Development Commission. Thank you so much for assisting us in bringing this forward, and thanks for spending the day with us, John. And, I was just going to say hi, Steve, and I don't see him. There he is, gone. I missed him. Anyway, but thank you so much. And also, just in case you've forgotten, you can see it on all of the sheets, but all of our sponsors have assisted us in bringing this forward. Employment Ontario, Greenstone Economic Development Corporation, Passport to Prosperity, Barrick, KWG Resources, North American Palladium, Lac des Îles Mine, Confederation College, Thunder Bay Ventures, DST Consulting Engineers, and Northwest Employment Works. And of course, North Superior Workforce Planning Board. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here, and we'll see you again next year, hopefully. Oh, and I should remind everybody, our report is posted on our website. It's www.nswpb.ca. And if you're interested in seeing yourself on YouTube, go to netnewsledger.com. Oh, yes. And the last message I was supposed to give you, thank you. I needed Heather here to remind me. I'm supposed to announce that the shuttle is departing for Intercity Mall at 4:15 p.m. All right, so if anyone needs to catch a ride with the shuttle, it'll be leaving in about 5 minutes, give or take, from the front door of the hotel. And thank you very much again to the Best Western, Norwester. Thank you.